All right, this has been an interesting morning of football already, and it's about to get really good. We're going to see those massive games, the Battle of Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, and the Philadelphia Eagles. I know for a fact that people out in Pittsburgh absolutely hate Philly. I learned that last year when I was there covering 49ers Steelers in week one, and I hopped around a few bars the day after the season opener, but also Buffalo against Detroit. But NFL update on top of the Patrick Mahomes injury, and maybe by the end of this quick update, we're going to have words from Andy Reid. Mahomes had to exit the game against the Cleveland Browns. Jay Glazer shared on the Fox pregame show that John Lynch actually confronted Devondre Campbell on the sideline. You know, we saw the photo of Devondre Campbell. I mean, there were several of them that came out after this game. I'm going to see if I could find the one that I put up on the San Francisco Standard. The one on the Standard actually doesn't have the full view of the 49ers security guy in the background, but there is some video where one of the 49ers members of the 49ers security team was with Devondre Campbell walking off the field. Now, at the time, nobody knew on the outside what was going on, and Campbell's walking off. The one thing that I found funny, though, was that a security person was with him, like team security. And it's like, you know, when somebody gets fired from work and they're getting escorted out, like sometimes the security is going to escort them out of the building. So I did find it interesting that security was by Campbell when I was reviewing some of the pictures after the game. And it made me think, okay, wait, did something go down on the sideline besides Campbell just saying, I don't want to play? Did Kyle Shanahan say immediately leave? Was there some kind of shouting match between teammates? Obviously, cameras didn't capture any of that. It would have surfaced by now. But it turns out what did happen, according to Jay Glazer, is that Campbell, as he was refusing to come into the football game, John Lynch went down to the field up from his box, so probably took that elevator ride that I'd simulated before, right? It takes him about 90 seconds to get from the box down to the field, and he confronted Devondre Campbell on the sideline, and he kicked him off the field. And that's why they said, okay, security, take Devondre Campbell off the field. So just to give you some context into how all of that happened, there you go. John Lynch, Hall of Fame player. They're called Red 47 is what they were saying on the Fox pregame show when Jay Glazer went into the details of what happened. Devondre Campbell did something that was so bad that it tapped into John Lynch's playing anger, got him into saying, hey, I'm not going to sit up in the box. I'm coming down to the field to confront this guy, chew him out, do whatever I need to, and get him off the field. Because that, obviously, it's a cancerous presence for the 49ers on the sideline. Devondre Campbell's refusing to play, and he can't just be standing there in uniform. John Lynch made sure that ended. And, you know, this morning I talked about some of the financial implications of this. We can get this back up on the screen for you. Devondre Campbell has forfeited a lot of money through his decision, and the 49ers are now figuring out exactly how much money they can recoup. They want to suspend him for the maximum length of time, because a suspension would mean that they don't have to pay him the money that is on his base salary for the rest of the season. So that could be over $200,000 worth of salary. But Campbell has already forfeited a playing time incentive. This is what's crazy to me. He was going to finish at over 70% of snaps, even if Dre Greenlaw took his job for the rest of the season, because he had the opportunity to play throughout essentially the entire second half after Greenlaw had to exit the game with the sore knee. And Campbell right now is at 83% of snaps on the season. So he would have easily stayed over 70%, which would have won him the $500,000 incentive. Now he's not going to get over that 70%. So he won't even have contractual standing to $500,000. It's like, are you kidding me? It was really worth sitting there and making a scene on the sideline for $500,000 and even more, really, right? The $500,000 is something that we know Campbell has forfeited because he's not going to reach that incentive. But now the 49ers with the suspension can go after some of the base salary money. And I think there's even a chance they go after some of the signing bonus money. And I think that they might even have some legal right to that signing bonus money, because there are recourses when teams execute these deals with players that allow for a team to go back after a signing bonus if the player doesn't hold up his contractual end of the bargain. So that's why the 49ers, that's one of the reasons why they're trying to suspend Devondre Campbell for as long as they possibly can. 3 games, obviously, would be the remainder of this season, because then they don't have to pay him that guaranteed base salary for the rest of this season. So the remaining $201,000 or so of base salary might be recouped. Potentially part of the signing bonus might be recouped by the 49ers. They definitely don't have to pay the $60,000 in total per game active bonus money the rest of the way. And Devondre Campbell has forfeited $500,000 that he was likely to earn through playing time incentives after John Lynch confronted him on the sideline. I mean, it was leadership that the 49ers needed from their Hall of Fame safety turned general manager. They couldn't have Devondre Campbell on the sideline. They had to make sure they enforced the standard that the rest of the team, you have to give the 49ers credit, the rest of the team has lived up to the standard of playing through adversity. A couple weeks ago, Brock Purdy said, when a team is losing, we find out what guys are really about. And then we heard Nick Bosa talk about it after the game against the Los Angeles Rams, that we'll find out who really wants to be a Niner. Well, sometimes stuff just conspires against you that's out of your control. Christian McCaffrey banging his knee on the ground against the Buffalo Bills to end his season is one such occurrence. A lot of that happened this year for the 49ers. So much out of their control happened. And we did find out that this is a team that showcases resilience. Guys are playing through family tragedy for the 49ers. Guys are playing through getting shot in the chest for the 49ers. Christian McCaffrey went all the way out to Germany to seek treatment and seek advice for his Achilles tendonitis to get back for his teammates more quickly. Nick Bosa played through an oblique injury until he absolutely couldn't. Talanoa Hufanga had a club on his wrist. Dre Greenlaw recovered in almost like record time from a torn Achilles in the Super Bowl, 305 days. As a team, the 49ers showed so much grit this season. And sometimes grit is not going to be tied to win-loss success. Sometimes there's too much to overcome. But the character that you show in putting that effort in, even when the results might be the results you want might be separated from you, might be put in a way that are impossible to reach. If you can show that grit in those moments where it may not show up on the win-loss column, that's what good culture is. And that's why when Devondre Campbell refused to play on Thursday, that was an existential threat to the 49ers culture. And, a lot of people I saw online saying, oh, you're overreacting to this, all this and all that. That was the biggest story of the game on Thursday, because you're not seeing the big picture if you're just focused on one game, one loss, or even a season's worth of losses. You're not seeing the big picture if you don't see the existential threat to culture, which can lead to next season and beyond, because culture is what has kept the 49ers as such a stable force at the top of the NFL over the past several seasons. You're missing the lead. You are missing the forest for the tree, as a lot of people have done on many issues over the course of the past few days, or even the course of this season. So the Devondre Campbell situation was headlining news for the 49ers. I think it's applicable to the rest of the NFL. I think that the league is very interested in how the 49ers handle this. I'm talking the other 31 teams, because you just have to set good precedent here for the 49ers. It's a matter of principle for San Francisco, and I think it's a matter of principle for the rest of the league. Of course, you don't want Devondre Campbell signing with the Lions and winning a Super Bowl and being a model citizen over there. That would look really bad, but you cannot in any way sanction players quitting on their contract in the middle of a game after they're already dressed with limited roster spots. You cannot in any way offer a reward that might incentivize a player to do that again. So the 49ers, in preserving their own culture, which has been so strong even through adversity this year, are also, I think, doing the league a favor by taking a hardline stance with Devondre Campbell here. And a suspension is definitely something that would be even harsher than a release. And for the many reasons I've just outlined, you can probably gather why what Devondre Campbell did is so unacceptable in professional football. Only 48 players are active on a game day roster. So injuries within games are extremely damaging things. This was completely self-inflicted from Devondre Campbell. Wasn't hurt, decided to walk off the field, and that's one of those 48 very valuable spots that is lost for the 49ers, that was lost in that game against the Los Angeles Rams. So anyway, around the NFL this morning, we're going to go watch some of the big games. Patrick Mahomes hurt his ankle. That was in Chiefs-Browns. The Chiefs, remarkably, they win that game 21-7. They still have not scored 30 points in a game this season. And now Mahomes has a hurt ankle. He didn't go to the locker room. He was just limping around after the game. He was wearing the parka over there in Cleveland. Carson Wentz is his backup, but everything really seemed fragile for the Chiefs already. They're not winning these games by a whole lot. They don't seem like an overpowering team. They've been an exceptionally clutch team, and that's great until you play a powerhouse like the Buffalo Bills, who handed them their one loss of this season. But if you're tossing a Patrick Mahomes injury into all of this, I'm going to stay true to my prediction. I think that the Chiefs lose in the AFC playoffs. I don't think they even make the Super Bowl this season. Maybe it happens in the divisional round, maybe more likely in the conference championship. They're obviously going to win that AFC West. So we'll see how the one seed shakes out in the AFC. But if they don't get the bye, then that loss can come a lot sooner. I think the Chiefs can really benefit from the bye, because out of the strongest contenders on that side of the bracket, I do think that Kansas City is the worst team. So we will see what the Mahomes injury prognosis is moving forward. The games this afternoon are going to be sweet, and they have just gotten underway. Buffalo and Detroit, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Those are the two that we're watching most closely. Congratulations to the Houston Texans. I believe that was a division clincher for them, 20-12. DeMeco Ryans over Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins. The matchup of former 49ers coordinators. So Miami essentially knocked out now at 6-8, and that game against the 49ers is going to be two teams probably on life support, I'm guessing, with the playoff probability odds, unless Miami's been eliminated outright. I know the 49ers haven't been eliminated outright, but it's a less than a 1% chance. So both teams playing for pride, playing for the future at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami next week. Devontae Adams blew up today for the Jets. They needed a little bit more of that Rodgers to Devontae Adams connection earlier. They beat Mac Jones and Jacksonville. Dallas picks on Bryce Young and Carolina 30-14. Jets scores 32-25, by the way. I mean, so many bad games this morning. Ravens 35, Giants 14. Washington, this was a good one. Washington 20, the Saints 19. Washington was up big. Washington was up 17-0. The Saints came all the way back to 20-19 they scored the touchdown to make it 2019 with no time left on the clock. Then they went for two, but the 2-point conversion, it looked like they tried to run the same play as the game-tying score, and the Commanders were ready for it. So Washington was able to escape the Big Easy with a 20-19 win. Bengals are up to 6-8, 37-27 win over the Titans. I feel that the Bengals are a great offense. Joe Burrow is playing elite football, but the defense has been basically the worst in the league. They might win their final 3 games, but that would be about right. 9-8 if they do win their final 3. A 500 team, that's usually what happens when you have an elite offense and a terrible defense. Those two units on opposite ends of the spectrum. And, of course, Chiefs 21, Browns 7. That is the Patrick Mahomes injury, so we'll have a look at that. All right. I think everybody probably wants to go watch some football. So wanted to share the update on the Devondre Campbell situation. John Lynch angrily confronts Devondre Campbell on the sideline. John Lynch doing his job. I think the 49ers, that's something that had to be done. You think about this season, and it's probably over as far as playoff hopes go for the 49ers. But as far as preserving culture goes, what Devondre Campbell did cannot go unpunished. It has to be severely rebuked. We saw John Lynch effectively kick him off the field after confronting him. And then we saw both George Kittle and Charvarius Ward and Kyle Shanahan, 3 49ers leaders, really harshly rebuke Devondre Campbell. They did not spare any words after the game. And I think that the 49ers did handle that situation as well as they possibly could have. Now, since every dollar on the cap matters for the 49ers, well, it's going to be very fascinating to see exactly how much of this money they are able to recoup. There's your 49ers NFL update. Enjoy the games this afternoon. I'll check in with you after they are done.